रेडी। एग्रीकल्चर से कंटेंट लिखेंगे, जो एग्रीकल्चर कंटेंट है उसका पहले हाई पे लिखेंगे फिर लो पे लिखेंगे, जो कि असाइनमेंट के रूप में आपको दिया जा चुका है, उसी की प्रैक्टिस के लिए है ये आपकी। कंटेंट काफ़ी अच्छा है इसका, न्यू वर्ड्स के साथ बोला जाएगा। स्टार्ट इट। द काइंड ऑफ एन एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली and natural resources compatible evergreen revolution covering all gamuts of agriculture and its allied fields and spanning all across the country is deemed imperative for several other pressing reasons as well. Despite the speculator advances in the production and per hectare yields of some crops, the overall productivity of Indian agriculture still remains low compared to that in many other agriculturally advanced countries. Besides, reliance of the Indian agriculture on the monsoon is still quite high. The capability of this sector to withstand the climate change induced more frequent extreme weather events and natural disasters remains fairly meager. The scope for expanding cropland has dried up. Landholdings are getting smaller and fragmented, adversely affecting the viability of farming. Agricultural marketing countries to suffer from some formidable disabilities. The marketing network is neither adequate nor efficient to ensure reasonable returns to farmers for their produce. Moreover, rural labor is turning scarce and costly. The combination of all these factors is causing agrarian distress, which is reflected in farmers' suicides and widespread rural unrest that at times tends even to turn violent. The Green Revolution should therefore be treated as incomplete unless it becomes an all-round and all-encompassing evergreen revolution that leads to copious production and rural prosperity. This will require simultaneous action on several fronts and not remain confined to a new commodities. The noted agricultural scientist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who spearheaded the advent of the Green Revolution, was also the first to sound the note of caution about the adverse, even if inadvertent, fallout of the exhaustive, high-yielding crop production technology. He also voiced the need for transforming it into the ecologically sound and sustainable evergreen revolution. In his presidential address to the Indian Science Congress way back in 1968, Dr. Swaminathan warned against practicing exploitative agriculture for short-term gains. He specifically mentioned the harmful consequences of excessive application of chemical fertilizers, pesticides and groundwater irrigation without adequate drainage on the physical and chemical health of the soils. He suggested adherence to scientific principles of soil and plant health management in order to perpetuate the benefits of the enhanced productivity over the long run. The need, therefore, is to produce more from less land and with less water and less cost-intensive inputs. Such an approach is considered essential to preserve not only the livelihood security of the large agriculture-dependent population, but also ecological security to sustain the Green Revolution. Dr. Swaminathan's recipe for the evergreen revolution therefore boils down to perpetuating the increase in land and crop productivity without causing any ecological harm. The Prime Minister has also been stressing the need for an evergreen revolution instead of using the terms like first green revolution and the second green revolution. He misses no opportunity to elaborate his concept of the green revolution, which is focused sharply on producing more from less land and with lower use of water and at reduced overall costs. This may be possible by integrating traditional systems of farming with the modern and scientific ways of agriculture. The use of chemical fertilizers should be strictly need-based as determined by the requirement of the crop and land fertility. Supplementing the fertilizers with organic manures would help safeguard soils' physical, chemical as well as microbial health. More crop per drop is his mantra for the evergreen revolution. He also intends to expand the concept of food security to nutrition security to tackle the menace of malnutrition. One of our PM suggestions that merit special consideration relates to creation of agriculture clusters on the pattern of the industrial clusters. Different areas could be identified for growing particular crops suited to the agroclimate conditions. This could help in streamlining transportation, storage and processing facilities for different crops, taking care of their specific needs. The official think tank, the Niti Aayog, has taken due note of the fact that the farm sector has by and large been sidestepped in the process of economic reforms that began in 1991. To address this lapse, the Aayog is working ceaselessly on crafting strategies for raising the farmers' income through evergreen revolution. It is regularly coming out with ideas which can help the government to reform and transform agriculture into a sustainable and lucrative business occupation that can contribute to the country's overall economic development. The principal goal of the recipes being suggested by the Aayog from time to time through policy briefs, working papers and other documents is to restore profitability of agriculture as a prerequisite to an evergreen revolution. The Niti Aayog has therefore put forth a multi-pronged agenda for agricultural development. It involves increasing productivity of crops, boosting production of livestock, enhancing input use efficiency to reduce costs, increasing crop intensity by taking more crops from the same piece of land and with the most economical use of water, judicious use of chemicals, diversification of agriculture towards high value crops and other ventures, higher price realization by farmers, creation of additional employment opportunities for cultivators in the non-farm rural sector to supplement the income of farm households and several other well-chosen reforms-oriented measures. A special emphasis is being laid on taking forward the ongoing agricultural marketing reforms to facilitate and incentivize the private sector investment in setting up rural markets and farm-related logistics infrastructure, including cold chains. In one of the documents, the Niti Aayog has shortlisted 5 broad aspects of agriculture that need immediate attention to lift the economic status of millions of farm families. These are also the basic issues which need to be addressed to prepare the ground for an evergreen revolution. The first point deals with productivity in terms of per hectare output of farm ventures. The present average productivity, despite remarkable spurt since the Green Revolution, compares poorly with that in many other countries. Besides, there are also large regional variations in the crop yields within the country. Bridging these gaps can go a long way in laying the foundation of the evergreen revolution. This requires development of new cost-effective technology and transferring it to the poor farmers, besides empowering them financially to put this into practice. Secondly, most farmers at present do not get remunerative prices for the crops due to the limited reach of the minimum support prices mechanism across the farm community in different parts of the country. 1040 वर्ड के साथ डिक्टेट किया गया है, 100 की स्पीड है, और ये एग्रीकल्चर का 6 नंबर है जो आपको असाइनमेंट के रूप में भी दिया गया है.